All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are taking a deep dive into one of the most ambitious economic projects happening anywhere in the world, India's grand plan to completely transform its industrial sector. And look, we're not just talking about making more stuff here. This is a really calculated mission to rewire the country's entire role in the global economy, moving it from just being a player to becoming an absolutely indispensable pillar. And this quote, it just perfectly captures the ultimate goal. This single line, pulled straight from the strategy documents, really says it all. It's about a fundamental shift in how the world sees India. It's about moving past any idea of patriotism and getting to a point where made in India is just an automatic sign of top-tier quality and reliability. It's a seriously powerful vision. So the question is, how do they plan to pull it off? So what's the big idea that's driving all of this? Well, the sources lay out what they call a new grand strategy, and it's all about switching from defense to offense. For years, the focus was on resilience, being tough enough to handle global shocks. But the new goal? It's way more ambitious. Strategic indispensability. Okay, so what does this fancy term, strategic indispensability, actually mean? Well, it's not about building walls or closing off the economy. It's actually the complete opposite. The whole plan is to weave India into global supply chains so deeply, so intricately, that it becomes what the documents call a node that others cannot bypass. Think of it like this. If you can't build your new smartphone or your car without a critical part that only comes from India, then India gains a huge amount of influence. That's real power. Now, this isn't some sudden overnight thing. It's a very deliberate three-step game plan. It all starts with what they call intelligent import substitution, which is not about just blocking imports, but about strategically building up your own capabilities in key areas. From there, you move to strategic resilience, building up those buffers so you can handle a crisis. But that third step, becoming that critical, non-replaceable part of the global system, that's always the end goal. All right, so you've got this huge strategic goal. How on earth do you actually achieve it? Well, the sources are incredibly clear on this. While the service sector is definitely important, they argue that for a massive, labor-rich country like India, a high-tech, super productive manufacturing sector is the only proven engine to drive this kind of national transformation. And why manufacturing specifically? The logic here is pretty compelling. First, manufacturing exports are seen as the only real way to build a strong, stable currency for the long haul. And unlike services, which can be pretty mobile, manufacturing really anchors physical supply chains. It creates these huge ecosystems of jobs and suppliers. And this last point is fascinating. It forces the whole system to get better. You simply can't be a global manufacturing hub if your roads are terrible or your power is unreliable. It puts pressure on the entire country to up its game. And here's where the strategy gets really clever. The plan isn't to try and make every single tiny component from scratch. No. Instead, it pushes for something called backward global value chain participation. What that means is you smartly import components and parts, use India's massive scale to assemble them into high-value, finished goods, and then you export those to the world. It's an incredibly powerful way to create jobs and value without having to reinvent the wheel. Okay, so we've got the grand strategy and the chosen engine, manufacturing. Now let's look at the actual vehicle that's designed to make all this happen, the National Manufacturing Mission, or NMM. This is the official policy blueprint that's supposed to turn all this theory into reality. First up, you just have to look at the sheer scale of this ambition. The mission's target is to get the manufacturing sector's contribution to India's GDP all the way up to 25%. We're talking about nearly doubling its current share. That signals a massive shift in national priorities and resources. And they're not kicking this can way down the road either. The mission comes with a pretty clear deadline. The target year to hit that 25% goal is 2035. So there's a real sense of urgency built right into the plan. Now, to fuel all that growth, you need exports. A lot of exports. And the NMM sets a staggering goal of $1.2 trillion in merchandise exports. This number ties everything right back to that core goal of becoming deeply integrated into the global economy and becoming a foreign exchange powerhouse. And this really gets to the core philosophy of the whole mission. It completely reframes the conversation. Under the NMM, a factory isn't just a business, and a production line isn't just about output. Manufacturing capacity itself is seen as a strategic national asset, something that's just as critical for national security and independence as any piece of military hardware. So we've covered the what and the why. Now let's get into the how. Because the National Manufacturing Mission isn't just some broad, vague idea. It's a very strategic and a very targeted approach to building an industrial base. What's really smart about the NMM is that it's not a one-size-fits-all policy. It actually breaks industries down into three different types. First, you have the scale sectors, like automotive. These are areas where India is already strong and can just hit the accelerator. Second, you have fix and transform sectors, like electronics. These have massive potential but need some serious reforms. And finally, you have the seed sectors, like semiconductors. These are the strategic, futuristic industries where India needs to plant the seeds now for long-term growth. And it's not just about picking winning sectors. The mission also works on improving the entire ecosystem to make it more competitive for everyone. We're talking about building plug-and-play infrastructure so companies can set up shop fast, slashing red tape, launching huge skilling programs for the workforce, and making sure that even small and medium-sized businesses are plugged into these big global supply chains. Okay, so let's step back for a second. If all of this actually works, what is the ultimate payoff? Well, the sources argue it's about something much, much bigger than just a higher GDP number. It's really about fundamentally reshaping the entire nation's economy and its place in the world order. This quote really gets to the heart of it. Chasing after advanced manufacturing isn't just about the money. It acts as an institutional stress test. I mean, global markets are ruthless when it comes to delays or quality issues. Trying to compete at that level exposes every single weakness in your country's logistics, your power grid, your bureaucracy, and it forces the whole system to get better just to keep up. When you boil it all down, this whole mission is about a profound psychological shift. The sources frame it as moving away from a national mindset of simply managing poverty to one that is focused on building national power. It's about going from just seeking safety in a chaotic world to actively seeking influence to help shape that world's future. And that, really, brings us to the final critical question. The blueprint is here. It's ambitious, it's detailed, and the stakes could not be higher. So, will this national manufacturing mission truly be the engine that transforms India into an industrial power, so essential, so deeply integrated, that the world simply cannot afford to ignore it? Well, that is the trillion-dollar question.